Italian Football Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Questions from the Italian Football Podcast Patrons, where you, our patrons, decide what the show is about by simply sending in your questions via email, DM on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but preferably via the DM function on patreon.com/TIFP. If you haven't become a member, go there, become a member, $3.99 a month. We also have annual subscriptions. All terms and terms apply. We can find out there. Before we get to the show, I'm joined as always by Carlo Garganese. We've got quite a few questions, so let's start with the first question, which has been sent in from Oliver, who says, "Hi guys, first of all, I want to say thank you because I've been a massive fan of yours for a while now. Thank you very much, Oliver. Welcome to the community. I recently found myself down a rabbit hole reading about Cornwall's partnership with Jamestown Analytics, who seemingly handle large portions of Cornwall's recruitment algorithmically using advanced data. I was wondering if you ever heard of them and know any more about what they have to offer. It seems like an interesting avenue and perhaps an insight into what the future of football might look like. It's a completely on a completely unrelated note. I really enjoy when you dig that bit deeper into the tactical nuances and styles of individual managers and teams. I was wondering if you'd ever do an episode of some of the most unique tactical profiles across Serie A and B. Thank you so much for all your hard work. I know how much it means to so many people, and you guys produce such incredible content on such a regular basis." Well, thank you so much, Oliver. That really means a lot. I really appreciate it. As for the tactical nuances and style, I quite enjoy doing that as well, and so does Carlo. But to answer your question, an episode solely focusing on unique tactical profiles across Serie A and Serie B. What do you say, Carlo?
Well, we'd have to find the unique ones, to be honest. I mean, I don't think there's that many unique managers. I mean, there are some, of course. I mean, De Zerbi is a very unique one, but he's not in Serie A. Who else have we got? I mean,
well, it depends on what you mean by unique. I think you can find something unique in every manager. Yeah, but you can find something unique to that manager. I mean,
something that really stands out, though.
Yeah, but you can also just do like tactical deep dives on a specific manager without, using stupidly ridiculous terms like tactical empathy and shit like that, which Arsene Wenger one day will be stand trial for inventing. But I think that's the kind of thing they mean, and we can discuss that and see if we want. There's so much we want to do as well. But it's an interesting one, definitely.
Finding the time as well. When you do these tactical deep dives, it takes a long time to research and to dig deep. To really understand the tactics, you have to study, a lot. You have to watch a lot of games. You have to rewind. You have to stop. You have to really be in the stands to properly analyze it. You can't really do it on TV. You have to be off the ball, seeing everything. So it's something that it takes a long time, and that's why teams have, full-time analysts that are doing this kind of stuff and preparing. That's how much the game's moved on. When you prepare for a game now, they'll have you in a room and they'll be playing videos, and they'll be and each good teams will be producing videos for each player, and that's their hope. They have homework before a match, and they have to watch the videos. They do it often on the travel, like on the plane and on the journey to games and stuff. And so that is a vital part of football now.
As for Jamestown Analytics, what do you know about them?
Jamestown, isn't that in where's Jamestown? Isn't that in
yeah, but it's
Jamaica.
Not, yeah,
Jamaica, Jamestown,
capital of Jamaica, but I don't think there's any connection here. It's about the analytics company.
Well, I'm not aware of them specifically, but again, this is something that modern teams do, and it's something that there are some teams that are very famous for. In the Premier League, the two most famous are, of course, Brighton and Brentford, and they were years ahead of everyone, and that's what kind of catapulted them up the leagues, because they were ahead of the crowd, and that's what they built their success relatively for such small teams, tiny teams that are not Premier League teams, and they punched above their weight because they've been so far ahead in these kind of things. And then in Serie A, teams like Atalanta, for example, have been brilliant at this. At identifying talent through using data analytics and And so it is.
Well, what I can tell you about them, the little that I do know about them, is that I know that they are the company that is behind Brighton and Hove's recruitment. Essentially, they Brighton use this Jamestown Analytics pretty much for all of their recruitment, and they've done pretty well, you have to say.
Well, there you go. They've become the example for everyone else. So
yeah. So I know that they use them a lot, and I know that they're also not just in football but cricket data analysis company as well. So that's the limited information I have about them, and I think that's why Como used them. But whether or not how they use them and how they use the data and how they advance and how they push them and how they how they collect and how they analyze, because that's the only thing that matters. A lot of people think that don't understand that statistics and data is useless if you don't understand it properly, if you can't properly contextualize it and put it into the right context and interpret the data properly, correctly, in the right manner, then it's just useless. But it seems to me that this Jamestown Analytics have a really good way of collecting, but also interpreting and applying, which I think Brighton are a brilliant example of, to be honest.
Yeah, they know how to make it work. They know how to make it work.
Oh God! Stop! Just stop. Jack Hacken says, "Hi, Neiman Carlo. I've got a challenge for you. In short, can you make a greatest all-time Serie A team consisting of players from 4 random European nationalities? Belgium, Austria, Switzerland, Croatia. From each country, you take a maximum of 3 players, and all countries have to have at least 1 player included in the 11. Honorable mentions from these countries are, of course, welcome. And lastly, you need to pick your favorite dinosaur Serie A coach to lead your team. Allegri is not an option. And for the kit supplier of your team, you have to choose between Stone Island or Montclair, both favorite of drug dealers. Lots of love, Jack. Here's a cheat sheet so you can look at which players you want to use.
Well, can I say, for starters, the favorite dinosaur, I have to pick our friend with the baseball cap, Giuseppe Iacchini. And I saw yesterday, actually, there was a 1-year anniversary of his son's wedding. And Iacchini went to his son's wedding with his baseball cap. I mean, what is that? Come on.
Right. Shall we do we'll do one together. An all-time Serie A 11, maximum 3 players from each of these countries, a minimum 1. And it's Belgium, Austria, Switzerland, Croatia that have played in the Serie A.
Okay, Austrians will go for Michael Consul in goal.
In goal, yeah, I think that's fair.
Tony Polster up front from Switzerland, from Austria. So those are my Austrians.
Not Lukaku.
Yeah, Lukaku as well. We'll put him up front as well. Those two can go up front. Austria is probably the hardest one. Austria had a guy that played for Roma, Herbert Prohaska, was in their Scudetto winning team in 1983.
He was a great player.
He was a quality player, yeah. But you only stayed there for 1 season because then they brought in, was it Cerezo? They brought in the next season, I think, if I remember rightly, the Brazilian. So those are the 3 Austrians I would have. Then Switzerland. What great Swiss players have we had in Serie A? Gökhan Inler,
Ciriaco Sforza. I loved Sforza, even though he flopped at Inter.
Yeah, he was a bit shit though, wasn't he, in Serie A?
Yeah, at Inter, but he was a great player at Bayern Munich. I loved him there. Who else? What's his name?
Lichtsteiner.
Yeah, Lichtsteiner has
to be in.
He really did well. Well, Dan and Doy.
Dan and Doy. So there's 6. Then Belgium, we've got probably better ones. So we've got Lukaku up front.
Schifo.
Yeah, Enzo Schifo, even though he was really Italian, but yeah.
Schifo, Lukaku.
And we can put De Bruyne in.
I was going to say De Bruyne.
You might as well stick De Bruyne in, even though he hasn't played in Serie A. And then Croatia, Modric. Should we stick Modric in already? Modric. I mean, Croatia's had so many. Yeah,
Kovacic, Boban.
Yeah. Robert Jarni, he played for Juventus and Torino.
Remember Goran Vlahovic, just as a side note, the young striker, played for Padova.
He scored against Germany in 98, didn't he?
Yeah.
We need a centre-back. Who have we got? We need a centre-back. Let's pick one centre-back.
Did Davor Šuker ever play for Fiorentina?
No, he didn't. No.
He didn't.
You're not searching on AI again, are you?
No, I'm just thinking out loud.
Michel Prudhomme didn't play Serie A.
No, Michel Prudhomme did not play.
Right. We need a centre-back. Come on, one centre-back, and then that'll do us.
Well, there is one from Parma, George Grun. He's
Belgium. Yes, great shout. Yeah.
Belgium, yeah.
Belgium legend, yeah.
Yeah. I liked him.
I remember Croatian centre backs. I can't think. There must have been a great
Mario Stanic, but he could play everywhere. He could play centre back, centre mid.
Yeah. He was all right, but yeah, he's. Remember his Chelsea debut? He scored a couple of screamers, and that was about as good as it got. Yeah, yeah. No, I think we got a good team. There might have been more than 11, but we've gone through some.
And if we're talking about favorite dinosaurs, well, Trapattoni is the ultimate dinosaur. Like the way that he played football.
Yeah,
I'm going.
A dinosaur is somebody that's outdated, plays outdated football. Trapattoni never played outdated football. He was the best coach. You know, he played
in the 80s.
You can say he played negative football, but not outdated football. Well, never.
I think you give the word dinosaur. I'm trying to redeem the word dinosaur. So
I'm sorry. You're not.
I'm saving the word.
You're not saving Allegri by calling Trapattoni a dinosaur. Otherwise, let's call Mourinho 2004 a dinosaur. Let's call all of the great. Let's call Herrera and all these.
Absolutely, dinosaurs. You've destroyed that term. So I'm going to redeem it. I'm going to save it. Save the dinosaurs. Raffaele D'Amato says, hi, Neem and Carlo. Hope you're both doing well, and thanks as always for the brilliant content. With Çalhanoğlu reportedly pushing for a move to Galatasaray, Inter clearly need to plan for a new regista. Asllani has now been at the club for 3-4 seasons. He still hasn't managed to establish himself as more than a rotation player. How is it possible that Asllani's market value has dropped so much that an 8 million bid from Real Betis is even on the table? Does this reflect poor development planning from Inter? Is the wider market simply unconvinced by his ceiling at this level? And two, if Inter go for Ederson, does he really fit as a like-for-like replacement for Çalhanoğlu as a mediano? Or is he better suited to the Mezzala role? Meaning Inter would need to adapt their midfield dynamics entirely to accommodate his strengths. Look forward to your thoughts. Keep up the great work. Best regards, Raffaele. Well, thank you for those kind words, Raffaele. The first part with Asllani, I think it's because he's flopped so bad that
he's not very good.
he's not very good, and I just think that Inter set a price that just means that they don't lose money in terms of negative plusvalenza, minus valenza. They don't want to do that. I think that's just what it is. As for Ederson, I think it's quite clear with Sučić that they're going to change how they play. I think it's becoming more and more clear to me with all the names Inter are linked to that it's going to be a 3-4-2-1 and a double pivot more than anything else. I think that's what Key was moving to. Whether it's Ederson or whoever it is. It's not going to be a 3-5-2 with a regista and two mezzale. I think it's going to be a double pivot. And I think it's going to be a double pivot where the two central players are going to have to run a lot. And that's why you're seeing Inter linked to these very dynamic players. Because Sučić is very dynamic. It's kind of how I see it.
I don't think Ederson is realistic. It's too expensive.
No.
Too expensive for Serie A clubs. I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course it is.
Italian clubs can't afford over 50 million.
No. Nope. Zeeshan Kumar says, ciao ragazzi, got a vision of leaving the UK once I turn 60. Still got a very long way off, and moving to Italy while supporting a small provincial team. Where would it be for you guys in the same situation? Personally, I'd go to Livorno, as I love Tuscany and they seem like a cool club. I'll probably be in Rome by the time you guys see this. So greetings from there and congrats on all the recent podcast progress. Well, thank you so much for those kind words, Zeeshan, and I hope you're enjoying Rome. There's so much to see. It's my favorite city in all of Italy. As for the provincial side, I love Livorno. I've been to pretty much all over Tuscany. I've lived there. I've got family there. Some of my family are married, have links to Livorno, and it's a beautiful place. But if I were to choose a provincial side, it'd be somewhere from the south, like Calabria or Sicily, or well, to be fair, it's probably Catania. So yeah, for me, it's Catania.
If you've got the money and you're well off and you can just afford to just relax and not work, then absolutely go south.
No, but which small provincial team would you like? I mean, for
small
you,
provincial team. Sorry, I'm talking to the place.
Foggia or Avellino for you, isn't it?
What's that?
It's Foggia or Avellino for you, isn't it?
Yeah. If Foggia still exists, I don't know if they're still going to exist.
Well, it's Italian football, so it's kind of like on a week by week basis.
Yeah, exactly. So you can pick a team, but there's no guarantee that they'll still exist by the time you die. So
exactly. Well, die. It's not even certain that team exists by the time we finish recording this podcast.
No, exactly.
David asks, ciao guys, hope you are having an amazing summer, enjoying the Mercato madness. Question, how likely could this upcoming season be the best Scudetto race yet? I say this in a way that Napoli are favourites to win. However, they do have European competition. Inter and Juve are in a rebuilding period, with Roma, Lazio and Atalanta have a good structure, where if they have a good Mercato, and how we saw with Ranieri with Roma last season, just the right man in charge, they could potentially be at the top. And Milan have an uncertain Mercato, but with Allegri in charge and no European football, they could surprise the whole league. I know it's too uncertain for predictions until the end of the Mercato, but as a fan perspective, could this be a great season for neutrals? And are both of you looking forward to it? Also, on a side note, Carlo, how pissed off will you be if Milan win the Scudetto next season with Allegri in charge? Thanks for all the great content throughout the summer, and looking forward to all your content lining up. Not just Allegri winning the Scudetto, but Allegri winning the Scudetto playing Pobega as a left back, because that's the latest thing I've seen that he's going to do.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess at Milan, isn't it? They don't have a single fullback right now.
No.
On both sides, right?
Yeah.
We were speaking to Alessandro last week, Jacobone, on our deep dive. Yeah, they don't have a single fullback. So how the hell do you go to? So I've been critical of Juventus for being like unplanned. Milan, even worse. But yeah, it's too early to say, isn't it? Like, to answer the first question, it's too early to say. What we can say is that right now, I've said it, like, on paper right now, and this is before any of the Napoli signings coming. On paper, I think Inter is still the strongest on paper. But if we're looking at the position to go out and spend, then it's Napoli. Then it depends how well their signings do as well. Like, they're spending 103 million euros this week on 3 players: Lorenzo Luca, Sambu Kema, and Noah Lang. So, there's those 3 players are all 3 players that we can't sit here and say 100% they're going to be fantastic. They're going to be stars. They might. They might not. It depends how they do.
Yeah, but nothing is certain. But if I look at the profiles of player, and I look at who the coach is and how he wants to play, I think these are excellent signings, especially Lorenzo Luca. I think this is such a smart signing. And a proper preseason with Antonio Conte, I think he could really have a explosion season, and that's good for the Italy national team as well. Like, it's
great for the Italy national team. I'm very happy for the Italy national team that this.
And Bukema, I'm not his favorite fan. I mean, I'm not his biggest fan. Him and what's his name, the other one, Lukumi. But I think Bukema, as he's actually with Jack before he starts sending messages about how to pronounce his name, but Bukema, as you're supposed to pronounce Dutch name, is I think he's a Conte defender, and I think he's going to do really well. Again,
I like him. But again, it's how you make the step up. I like him because he can play. He can play as well. He's fantastic on the ball as well, and I like his mentality. But it depends how these players do, and they're spending a lot of money, and then the same goes with the others that they're looking to bring in as well. So all we can say is that on paper, from what we're seeing right now, that's how it looks to me. It looks like Napoli, Inter for me, and then the rest. It depends on the market. There's too long to go. I mean, Juventus are full of holes. Milan are full of holes. Roma have basically done nothing so far.
Lazio can't
do nothing or can't do anything. Atalanta, we've got a question on after, so we'll come on to them after. I don't like at all the way things are going there. So I think right now Napoli look like they're in the best position with a month and a half of the window to go to make that push to improve their team.
Agreed. Next question. Kevin says, Como seem to have an ambitious project and unlimited money. Do you see them winning a Scudetto within the next 10 years? And if you had to take Como or one of the Roma, Lazio, Fiorentina to win the league in the next 10 years, who would you take? Well, I think even though they have a lot of unlimited money now, I don't see them winning a Scudetto. I really don't. I think European football is possible, maybe even top 4. But to win the Scudetto, no. I don't see that happening.
Next 10 years, though.
Yeah, but next 10 years, no.
I wouldn't rule it out. It all depends on, what is their plans? What are their ambitions? Are they planning to be the next Chelsea or Man City? They've got the money to do that. We know they've got one of the richest owners in the world. So, if they plan to become the next Chelsea or Man City, then yes, we have to say there's a chance they can win the Scudetto. Of course they can.
No, they can't, because they don't have the pull, even if they have all the money in the world. PSG, Man City, these are huge clubs.
Well, Man City didn't have any pull at all.
Man City are a team in the Premier League, and Man City are a team with a kind of an important history. If you look at who they are, Como are a provincial side in a beautiful town village in the north of Italy by a beautiful lake. They don't have any pull. I
think the pull is irrelevant. No, Man City were a decent history, but nothing amazing. Same with Chelsea. Same with PSG. PSG were created in 1970. They had no history. They had no history at all.
But they're in Paris. They're in Paris.
Como's a beautiful place. Any rich millionaire will want to
yes,
go.
Yes, I understand that. Paris is a metropolitan classic city. Como is a beautiful place in the summer.
End of the day, Nima, money talks. If Como have got the most money in the world and they offer a player a contract that's double the salary of.
Then why isn't Theo Hernandez there? Why isn't Theo Hernandez there?
Because it's the beginning of the project now. We're talking in 10 years. It will be a step by step. A 28-year-old like Theo Hernandez doesn't want to move to Como at 28 because he knows that they're not ready to win.
Yeah, but instead he moved to Saudi.
Talking about in 3 or 4 years' time.
But instead he moved to Saudi, which is a league that is nowhere near as good as the Serie A, and Como should have more pull financially. I mean,
but Nima, it's the beginning of the project. Nima, it's the beginning.
Well, the Saudi league is also in the beginning of their project. I mean, it's just Como just don't have. That's
but he's gone. Yeah, but Nima, he's gone for a salary 5 times higher in Saudi Arabia than he's gone at Como. Como are not paying that kind of money. That's why I said it depends on what their ambitions are. Is their ambitions to be the next Chelsea and Man City and to spend that level of money that they spent? If it is, absolutely they can win the Scudetto. And will they financially be able to do it with the FFP rules? Because they're not going to be able to generate the money, and that's where the history does come into it. They're not going to be able to generate the money organically through commercial, through the stadium in terms of people coming to watch, because they don't have any fans.
Well, they don't have a stadium,
so they're not going to be able to show on the books that they are bringing in that money. It's going to be all put in. So if they are treated properly by UEFA, then they won't even be able to go into Europe.
That's a separate discussion. What I'm saying
that could stop them doing it. But then that should have stopped PSG and Man City. That should have stopped PSG and Man City as well.
That's a separate discussion. They didn't. But that's a separate discussion.
But it's important though, because they can't spend money if they don't. They're not allowed to.
I know that, but I'm not even going near that. I'm saying they will never win a Scudetto because they will never be able to bring in that kind of level of talent that is ready. What they have to hope for is that they scout the best talents in all of the world and unearth 6 Lamine Yamals who all have a breakthrough season. Then that's the only way they can win the Scudetto. But if they're thinking of winning the Scudetto by bringing in mega stars to Como, that's never going to happen, even if they have the ambition or not. And that's the point I'm making. I think someone like Roma, Lazio, Fiorentina, they have a better chance to win the Scudetto with maybe not similar investment, but investment than Como do, and that's just the point. That's the point I'm making. That Como are too small. It's a small provincial side, which is not even half the size of Bergamo. It's even smaller than that, and they don't have the structure in place like that. Even if they pump all the money in the world, in order to win the Scudetto, not Atalanta, who are financially solvent, who have actually a fan base, who have actually money coming in, all of those things, have world-class players. They haven't been able to push for a Scudetto properly either, much less Como. So no, I just didn't see that happening. But out of Roma, Lazio, and Fiorentina, who do you think stands the best chance to win the league within the next 10 years?
I mean, I wouldn't rule out any of them purely because of the league that Serie A has become. That there is the chance that if you can have a good project and you can build a good team, that you can do something. We've seen that with some of the teams that have won it or gone close to winning it in the last few years. So I wouldn't rule out any of them, but I'd probably have to say, based on the changes made, maybe Roma.
Same.
Maybe
Same.
Roma. But
Same. I'd go with Roma too. I think they feel, it feels like the most unearthed potential, if that makes sense. But yeah. Faruq Hassan says, "Hi guys, could you explain Lazio's transfer block to me? Is this a self-imposed transfer block or something external? What are their plans on unraveling it? And why is Sarri being so patient about it? His footballing philosophy is based on players having certain attributes, and many of Lazio's current players don't fit that system. Unless something changes, he won't be able to make Lazio play the way he wants to, and his head will be on the chopping block. So what do you anticipate will happen?" What do you make of this?
Well, the explanation is that. Do you understand this about the liquidity? Not having the liquidity. Do you understand it?
I think it's basically, from what I understand, it's the Italian, what do you call it, Covisoc, the Consumer Protection Bureau, that is somehow involved in this, in the sense that they need to have a certain amount of liquidity in order to be able to spend or something like it's very, very complicated.
They have to show the money's not tied up in non-liquid money, if that makes sense. Is that right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and this issue's been happening every summer at Lazio for I don't know how many years, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm surprised Maurizio Sarri would have agreed to go back if he knew that this was going to happen. Now that he's there, he's decided to stay. But yeah.
So basically, I've looked it up now. It's got like they failed 3 financial health parameters in March, and so they were placed under a transfer embargo unless fresh capital is injected, and Lotito won't do that. And he said, I think, I can't remember when he said it a couple of weeks ago or when it was, he said, we can't continue in football with these regulations. It does not reflect the situation of the club in this current moment. So this transfer embargo is unfair. If I decided to make new signings, then I will increase the capital, but it would be senseless because Lazio don't need fresh capital, nor is it a problem with the players. It's the liquidity index, basically. And it says, his basically what he's saying is that he feels that it's not fair because, clubs that have bigger debts can have a better credit score than a club with no debt and a relative lack of easily accessible funds or liquidity. So basically, it's a little bit more. It's complicated as it is. So that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah. It's frustrating, very frustrating for Lazio because they really, I think, started the rebuild really well. Yes, they ended the season badly, but they're
not allowed to buy or sell any players until January. Basically, that's the
that's why it's frustrating, because I thought that they'd made such a big revolution this time last year, and that nobody was really expecting much of them. And they did fantastically. Okay, they ended the season badly in the last few months. They fell away badly, but they for me, in terms of performance for most of the season, they overperformed. And in terms of like building something that they can build on going forward, I thought they've done really, really well last season. And so now,
let me just quickly explain what the liquidity index is. It measures the cash flow status of a club and its ability to quickly find liquidity or cash to pay for outstanding bills. But it also means that a club that has lots of debt but has a good credit score might have a stronger liquidity index than one without any debt. But in March 2025, Lazio failed to meet all three major financial parameters: the liquidity index, debt, and extended labor costs. And that is why Lazio are in complete transfer embargo until January 2026, unless Lotito injects fresh capital by the end of August. But he's saying that he's not going to do that, and he's going to ride it out until January, which means that Lazio are neither selling or buying this summer. Hope that answers the question. But it's ridiculous, and it happens every year with Lotito. And I do, regardless of how you feel about it, Lotito needs to understand that the laws, these rules and regulations apply to everybody. And if you don't have the money, sell the club. If you don't, if you don't have the money, do something. You know what I mean? Because this keeps happening over and over and over again, and that's why they've repeatedly kind of, this is where they are. I'm not saying that it's the right thing to do. I'm just stating reality. This is how it is for all clubs in the Serie A, and Lotito refuses to accept the reality, and Lazio, as a result, is harmed by it. Now, whether or not this liquidity index is right or wrong, that's a much more complex discussion. The fact of the matter is, this is what you have to follow, and he's not following it, and as a result, Lazio suffers, which is insane. And already Maurizio Sarri's pissed off because he feels misled. So yeah, we'll ask Pedula about this more when we have him on. I think because I know that he's got a good relationship with
Sarri,
Sarri and stuff like that. Right, Marco Guerriero says, "Hi guys, question for the pod. So Antonio Conte did change formation quite a few times last season. Now as Napoli go for players such as Noah Lang and Ndoye, whilst also crowding the central midfield, this smells like a 4-3-3. Do you agree or not? How would Napoli line up?" Well, they kind of played 4-3-3 last season, didn't they? Or 4-2-3-1 or whatever you want to play with.
Definitely a 4-3-3. Well, it's definitely a winger system, because that's what their strategy was for the market, was to sign two wingers they wanted to sign. So absolutely. Lang's one, and then Ndoye's is who they want to bring in as the other one, in addition to Neres and Politano, who's getting a new contract. So yeah, 4 wingers. It's going to be a winger system. You're not going to play a 3-5-2 with 4 wingers. So yeah, it's a 4-3-3.
Yeah,
it's definitely 4-3-3.
Definitely.
And Luca is the backup. And Luca is the backup to Lukaku.
Or 3-4-2-1. But the thing is, like, that 4-3-3 is, even last season you saw it. It's a 4-3-3 with an asterisk, isn't it? Because the way that the movement is, it's still an Antonio Conte system. It's still Calcio Verticale. So it's still a counter-attacking team. So I have to say, if they manage to get Dan Ndoye, I'm really, really curious to see how Napoli do in Europe. I think I'm just saying that now. It's going to be very interesting to see if Conte can break that European duck.
Well, it depends what you call breaking the duck. They're not going to win it, but if they can have a good season,
he can't get past the quarterfinal stage. I mean, or at least reach a quarterfinal stage.
Just get out of the groups would be nice.
Yeah, well, that would be.
He's often struggled even to do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he finished last with Inter the first time in Inter.
Did he fail both times with Inter to get out?
Oh, indeed he did. Indeed he did.
And he failed once with Juventus as well. So 3 seasons he didn't get out of the groups in the Champions League. So
he failed one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it was twice, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was twice because he reached the Europa League final.
Then he won the league. Yeah,
he reached the Europa League final with Inter. Right. Jamie Drum says, "Hi guys, has Chelsea's win over PSG highlighted even more so how big of a flop Inzaghi was in the Champions League final? And if anything, has it stained his reputation amongst big European clubs in terms of getting a big job in the future? How many of Chelsea's starting 11 versus PSG would get into Inter's Champions League final starting 11? Does the result of this question reflect poorly on Inzaghi?" I'm not sure. I don't know about you, but I didn't read that much into this Club World Cup. I don't know how much you do.
No. And the funny thing is that I remember people saying exactly the opposite after they thrashed Real Madrid in the semi-final. I remember reading comments from some people saying, "Oh, see, this shows that Inzaghi and Inter weren't as bad. This makes me feel." I saw some Inter fans, quite a few Inter fans actually saying it. "Oh, this makes me feel so much better being an Inter fan now, having seen them smash Real Madrid." And then all of a sudden, they lose like that in the final, and so they're just kind of people are just changing, just molding their already held opinions based on the result. Do you know what I mean?
Confirmation bias.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Confirmation bias.
Confirmation
I
bias.
wouldn't read too much in it. It's a pre-season tournament. It's a tournament, at the end of the season, and everyone's exhausted, and I wouldn't read too much into it.
Same.
Yeah.
Neither good nor bad, if that makes sense. I just don't. Yeah. Luca Capone says, "Hi guys. Instead of pondering whether Kivu becomes the next Bersellini or Stramaccioni, I've decided it's time for an MFing nerdy throwback, as this past June and July marks the 25th anniversary of the greatest international tournament I've ever watched, Euro 2000. Deep within the heart of Woodbridge in Toronto, it took over my life as school wrapped up that year. Watching games in my neighbor's garage or listening to Italian radio at school, translated by our 6th grade teacher. Shout out to Mrs. Cantarutti. This is awesome. Looking back, the starting 11 for the team of tournament might be the best ever. Toldo, Thuram, Cannavaro, Blanc, Maldini, Figo, Vieira, David, Zidane, Totti, Kluivert. I would replace Blanc with Nesta and Kluivert with Henry, but still, which other tournament starting 11 would go toe-to-toe with this incredibly well-balanced giant? I would argue Euro 2000 had larger quantity of classic games than 2006. What do you guys think was the more exciting tournament overall? Obviously, it was the highlight of my life to see Italy win the World Cup in my lifetime, and the semi versus Germany is the best game I've ever watched. But I feel Euro 2000s had more classics across the board. Also, I'd love for Nima to give a proper breakdown of cooking variations between the use of saffron in Persian cooking versus Spanish cooking. Do you find it's really overcooked in Spanish kitchens and used as more as an aromatic accent in Persian cuisine? Keep up the great work in the pod, guys. Well, there's a very simple way to respond to that last question, and that is Persian cuisine knows how to use saffron and rice. Spanish don't.
I knew that was covered.
They don't know how to use rice, and their saffron is shit. So what do you want me to do? I actually prefer Swedish saffron they grow in Gotland over that horrible shit they do in Spain. I'm sorry, but the Spanish can't eat. I like Spain, but they cannot eat food. Every time I've been to Spain, as soon as I go there, I just sit there and go, fuck, I'm not going to have anything nice for the next 10 days. And it always ends up with me going to some Italian place and speaking Italian with them and just they taking pity on me, and I just sit there and eat Italian food. I don't like Spanish food. It's not nice. It's just.
I think you're a bit harsh. It depends what you eat, though. That's the thing. It depends what dishes you have.
No, but it's
I hate German food. I think it's disgusting. German food is horrendous.
Yeah, but what kind of German food have you had? Like, I can actually give you examples of all these tapas dishes are too oily and too salty, and it's just no. Like, I like fried the shrimp. Like, you know what I mean? That is nice. The gambas, for example, that's nice. Paella is decent. I'll give you that much. Pata negra, one of the best hams in the world, no doubt about it. Absolutely. But my God, the rest of it is just a mishmash of things that don't go together. But what kind of German food is it that you haven't liked?
All of it.
What do you mean all of it? What have
all
you
of
had?
it. Even the ones that people, some of their sweets are not too bad. It's like pastries and yes, I don't mind some of them, but their actual hot food, I don't like. Even things like
Schnitzel,
Frankfurters and things like that. I think they're disgusting.
You don't like sausages?
I do like sausages, but I think Frankfurters were terrible. The ones I had in Berlin, awful, horrendous. And then when I went to restaurants, it was all kind of like kind of like hot pot kind of stuff, cabbage with everything.
Oh, you
cabbage
don't like
with
that.
everything. Cabbage with everything. What else? I've tried to forget. I've tried to put it put it away from my mind.
I actually think German food is very underrated. I have to say.
Horrible. I mean, I went to some Turkish because obviously there's a lot of Turks in Germany, so I went to a lot of Turkish Turkish meat places, and that was good. But that's not German; it's Turkish. It's Turkish, not German.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, I can't remember what the question is now.
No, the question was, if the Euro 2000.
Yes, it is.
I agree with everything he said.
The two best international tournaments of all time are 1982 World Cup and Euro 2000. Both those two tournaments had legendary players, legendary teams, legendary matches, just everything. Unfortunately, the Euro 2000 ended in a way that I'm still suffering PTSD from it now. And it's still
Anders Frisk. Did I ever tell you that because he's from Gothenburg?
Yeah, you told a story about that before. Yeah. You asked him about how many.
Where did you find those minutes? And he was like, no, I didn't find them. They were supposed to be there. I'm like,
no.
For me, the two greatest tournaments, 86 and 2000. I think Euro
86 was good as well, but 82 was 86 was special because I think of the setting in Mexico. Like it had like mystical element about it because it was, but also the games were played at like midday in the Mexican 40
and
degrees.
We still saw the greatest ever performance in a World Cup ever.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just, for me, it's the level of football. I mean, Platini was great in 86. France were good in 86. Germany limped to the final. Italy, as always, after Italy win, they don't take things seriously.
Yeah, they were old. Yeah,
they would just rinse and repeat. But everyone else was good. Belgium were fantastic. But
in 82, these teams were all at their peak. Like in 86, Brazil, it was an old Brazil. It was an old France. It was a Germany in between generations with quite a few old players. It was an Italy that were old and crap. But some of these teams still did well. But they were past their peak. Yeah. 82, everyone was at their peak, and I would say the same with 2000 probably as well. Like it was Italy in their peak, or reaching the peak. It was Portugal in their peak. It was France still at an incredible level. It was Holland, probably the best Holland team as well that we've had since aside from the 74 and 88 teams. I mean, it was like so many legendary teams and legendary players. That's when international football, I think, in our lifetimes, in terms of what we remember, because we were too young for these 82. Well, I wasn't alive in 82. It was when international football peaked in this, in our lifetime.
I agree with Euro 2000, but for me, 86, the way Maradona. I mean, just the level. I mean, Poland were decent in 86 as well.
82.
82. No, but 86 for me is the one that's the most special. I think the single most best individual performance that you'll ever see in a World Cup tournament consistently from start to finish, in scorching heat, like it's just
which I hope will happen next summer. I don't care. I want to see games played in 40 degrees. Because when games are played at 40 degrees, you lose all this pressing nonsense. It comes down to actual football. It doesn't come down to who can run the most and who's the fittest. It comes down to actual footballing ability and tactics as well, which we kind of have moved away from, because now it's all about who can press the most, who can run the most, who's dopes the best.
Some power merchants,
yeah.
Right, next question. Ryan Yaboni says, thanks again, fantastic work on the Milan Mercato deep dive. Got a question for this pod. Has the Allegri is a defensive coach stigma gotten blown out of proportion? Years ago when Milan won the Scudetto, when Allegri won the Scudetto with Milan, I remember them being very organized defensively, the best team in the Serie A defensively. But they also feel that Ibra, Robinho, Pato all together, they were quite an attacking team. And at Juve, in his first spell, they also used to play attacking football as well. To me, Allegri seems like a very adaptable manager that can alter his playing style depending on the players he has at his disposal. And let's face it, his second spell at Juve, he didn't have much attacking players to pick from. But now that he's at Milan, he has some of the most exciting players in the league. Can we at least give him a fresh slate? Thanks as always. You guys are the best. Keep up the quality content. Thank you, Ryan. Well, thank you very much, Ryan, for those kind words. And I do think I agree with you. I think pragmatism is Allegri's strongest suit. He adapts to what he's got. I always tell the story of when I interviewed Riccardo Ferri, one of the times I interviewed him, and I said, who he thought was the better manager out of Trapattoni and Sacchi, and he says Trapattoni because, and he explained why. He said, a good manager, a fantastic manager is like a fantastic chef. He opens up the door to the pantry and he cooks you a world-class meal with what's in there. Sacchi can't do that. He needs specific players. Trapattoni can. And I think that's the truth about Allegri. He does the best with what he's got, whilst other coaches need specific role-type players. But that's football today as well, isn't it? It's much more ideology. But yeah, no, I think Allegri is much more pragmatic, and it's not just defensive as such. I think he's just much more pragmatic. What do you make of it?
I'm just like, first of all, thanks for the lovely words. Whenever somebody tries to praise Allegri by giving an example of something he did in his first Juventus spell, or that he did at Milan 300 years ago, part of me just dies. It's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant what Allegri did at Milan and what Allegri did at Juventus 10 years ago. It's irrelevant. Judge him on today, because when you judge Mourinho, you don't judge him on what he did at Chelsea or what he did at Inter or what he even did at Real Madrid, because that's irrelevant to the Mourinho today. So it's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. Having said that, though, I hope he does well. I hope Milan does well. Serie A needs a strong Milan, and I want to see Milan come back, at least get into the Champions League, build. And why are you laughing? Because I'm moaning.
I love how he triggers you. You get that look on your face. It's like someone's, I don't know, like you get like this look on your face as someone's just taking a shit.
No, it's the argument. It's
walking.
It's when people use the argument about, but Allegri at Juventus, he did this at his first spell at Milan.
It's true.
It's 5,000 years ago. It's irrelevant.
5,000 years ago.
It's completely irrelevant.
He defended Trapattoni for doing what he did in the 90s and said he's not gonna and praise him for that. And then you can't do the same for Allegri, who just did it more recently in time.
No, we're talking about performance here. Trapattoni's not managing anymore. No. If Trapattoni was managing now, I'm not going to say, well, Trapattoni's a good manager because he won a Scudetto with Inter in 1989.
Yeah. Well, you did more than that. You won everything with Juve.
Well, exactly. I love Trapattoni.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just think this. I love how already you're fed up, and the season hasn't even started yet.
No, because it's the same old. You hear the same.
Oh, excuse. I'm so looking forward.
You hear the same excuses with Allegri all the time. The same excuses, and if they perform badly, the Allegri defenders are going to be, but they didn't buy for him very well.
He's got Pobega playing at left.
They finished 9th last season, so what could you expect? And they didn't have a fullback at the start of the preseason.
Well, I think those are valid concerns, Carlo.
We already know what the excuses are going to be. So,
how is that an excuse?
What's the point?
If he's playing Pobega as left back, like, what do you want him to do? I mean,
I will accept that. Yeah, if he goes to Zeeshan with Pobega at left back.
I mean, what the hell? Jesus. Vito Campanelli says, "Hi guys, do we have to start questioning if Marotta and Ausilio are right for Inter? It seems the last few seasons have been more bad moves than good. Inzaghi's system was able to cover those bad decisions. Take away Lukaku, Hakimi, Onana sales, and Inter have barely been able to make much money on the sales, which they're usually lowballed. Brozovic for one, along with many questionable additions like Buchanan, Arnautovic, Palacios, Taremi, Zielinski, Pep Martinez. I understand their hands are tied, but when we're allowed to spend some money, they have to make sure they're going to nail these decisions, and one failure can't set the team back big now that we have an inexperienced coach at the helm. I'm worried about Boni and Enrique deals could wind up screwing us if they don't pan out. Let me know what you think. And also, should Inter go after a fifth striker? If so, what are the characteristics they should get in that striker? Well, you could Gosens, Correa, so on. I think this is a valid question. I think it is time to start questioning how long Ausilio and Marotta can continue, because everything has a sell-by date. And I think that Marotta is going to leave by 27. I think when his contract expires, I don't see him staying under these conditions, because I just don't see it being tenable. I know that he's the president, and that brings a lot of that role is a lot of prestige. But it's I wonder if we're not really reaching the end of the Ausilio Marotta stage as well. But having said that, yes, I do think it's, like I said, I think I can't remember was it last week or the week before that, where I said that, look, he's a fantastic director. His career speaks of fantastic decisions, but equally, it's full of mistakes, big mistakes. Verratti at Juve, for example, when he thought he was smarter than everyone else, and he fumbled Verratti. It's as simple as that. And he's done similar things at Inter as well. He fumbled Skriniar, for example.
Yeah,
Inzaghi's extension.
You're always going to get, listen, with even the greatest ever sporting directors and transfers, you're always going to find mistakes. Like, you're never going to find anybody that's never not made a mistake. I think the difference here is that obviously, yeah, he's fumbled maybe what happened. He just shown himself to be a little bit more fallible than we ever expected recently. I think that's been the issue.
Yeah. As for fifth striker, I don't think Inter should get a fifth striker. I think they should. I think Inter should get a forward, because again, I keep saying this. I think this is nothing to do with Kivu. I said this during last season as well. I think with regardless of if Inzaghi had stayed, I think this was the natural progression. 3-4-2-1. We even saw Inzaghi play 3-4-2-1 towards the end of last season. This is something Inter have decided tactically to evolve into. And I think that's where they're going to go. So I think a fifth forward, whether it's a number 9 or a winger, I think that's what they have to get. And they have to look at what they've got and then bring someone in who can, offer something different. But I think a 3-4-2-1 is where Inter is headed towards. Yes, that I do think. You agree with that?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, possibly. Let's see the preseason what he plays.
Mike Dereb says, another bleak one on everyone's favorite topic, the decline of Italian football. Does this season feel like the first real step towards Italy and Serie A no longer being a serious footballing force? It's been sliding for years, but there was always something to hold on to, a great coach, a golden generation, an exciting youngster. Now even that hope feels gone. Gattuso leading the national team doesn't inspire much confidence, and in Serie A, clubs are turning their backs on Italian players and hiring average managers. Juve and Inter especially. I can't see any of our teams making a dent in the Champions League, and honestly, another World Cup miss feels likely. As a Juve fan, based on their current lineups, I won't even be following them this season, and I doubt I'm alone. Our football clearly needs a massive total overhaul, new rules, new stadiums, a new direction. But let's be honest, that's not happening anytime soon. And if it ever does, will it already be too late? Is this it? Are we done? Is there anything left to be hopeful about? That's very cheerful.
Yeah. Let's answer that when we talk.
Yeah, I was just about to.
Andrea's question. Yes, we don't double up. Yeah.
No, I'm gonna read. I was gonna move, and before we answer that, I'm gonna read Andrea's question as well, and he kind of touches on that. He says, Andrea Moana, he says, Mateo Retegui is leaving Atalanta for Saudi Arabia. What does this say about the state of the Serie A? Are Atalanta going to decline a lot this season with Gasperini leaving too? And is his Italy career over? Let's do those two together.
What do you want to start with? Retegui?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's start with Retegui, and then we can go on to the wider point about Serie A. So Retegui is moving to Al-Qadsiah. Is that how you pronounce it?
No idea. I think so. Al-Qadsiah.
No idea. Don't care. Al-Qadsiah for, I think we're looking at about 67 million euros. He's getting a massive salary.
Yeah.
I think it's around, is it 15 million euros a year? Something in the region of that. It's
net.
Massive. Yeah. So it's like 5 times more than what he's getting at Atalanta, maybe even more than that. Actually. So, yeah, it's huge. He's 26 years old. It's, from Retegui's point of view, it's disappointing from a footballing point of view, also with view to the Italy national team. But first of all, from a club point of view, this is a player who's just been top scorer of Serie A. It's a player who is, in terms of finishing, he's one of the best players in the game, full stop, anywhere at finishing. He's a killer. Christian Vieri said when we had him on our show last month, he said he's he's a killer, and he is. He's so cold in front, so clinical in front of goal. Yes, some of his other game is, he's not one of the best in the world with part of his other game, but he's a striker who certainly is good enough for one of the big Italian clubs for sure, and who knows, maybe even more than that. So yeah, it's a shame that at the age of 26, someone like this is going to Saudi Arabia when he should, in my opinion, should be in Europe. That's part of what football's become a little bit. So that's a separate topic. But then there's the Italy national team, which is, again, we'll see. We'll see when Gattuso picks his first squad. If he's going to be in that squad? What's the level of football going to be like? Or who is the coach of Al-Qadsiah? I'm not actually sure who it is. I mean, with Al Hilal, if he was going to Al Hilal and he was being managed by Simone Inzaghi, then I would be a little bit more kind of, well, he's getting coached by
you know who it is. Remember the old Spanish defender, Michel?
Is it Michel?
Yeah.
Oh, is it
no,
really?
Midfielder. Sorry, not
midfielder. He was a great player. Yeah.
Played for Real Madrid. Yeah, for like.
Yeah, I remember him. He was great. Italia 90.
Yeah, Michel.
Yeah, he was fantastic. He was a fantastic player. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he's not a great manager. So it's if he was getting managed by Simone Inzaghi, I'd say, well, he's still getting coached by a top. But at the end of the day, look, the level of Saudi Pro League is not high. There's a sprinkling of some good players. Many of them kind of old, past their best, like Ronaldo, like Koulibaly, like these kind of players. But the level is a big drop. It can't be good for the Italy national team. We're struggling for strikers as it is, aren't we? Mm-hmm. And he's one of our two best strikers, him and Moise Kean. And we're going to lose him as well. So it's not good for the Italy national team. But I don't know. I don't know. I can't say 100% if it's the end of his Italy career while he's there.
I don't think it's the end of his. I think it could potentially be the end of his Italy career if Lorenzo Luca has a fantastic season, if Francesco Pio Esposito has a fantastic season, if Moise Kean builds on the fantastic form he had last season, then I think Retegui will not be interesting enough at all.
Agreed.
Excuse me. But
because you're always going to pick a player that's playing at that high level in the Serie A
and delivering at a higher level. Yeah. So there's no doubt about that. So I think it depends on how it goes for them. So that's that. As for the wider point about Atalanta being finished, look, I think it depends on how this Mercato goes. I think it depends on, do they keep Lookman? Do they keep Ederson? Who comes in? What happens, when preseason starts? Like, how does it look when the actual league starts? How does the makeup of the squad look? As for Gasperini leaving, I think it was time for Gasperini to leave. Everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Life, football, everything. And it was time for Gasperini to leave. And I'm glad that Gasperini got this chance to one last time at a bigger club after the disaster at Inter, for him to try at Roma. And I think he deserves it. So I want to basically stick a pin in it in Atalanta and say, let's wait. As for the broader point about Italian football,
let me just come in on Atalanta first. So I think, look, as with every team, we have to wait until the end of the transfer market to see where they're at, to see what their squad looks like, 100%. But again, if we can look at where the team in question, in this case Atalanta, are right now, and look at where they're going, I am worried for them. And I know this is something that we've probably said quite a few times about Atalanta, including last season. Maybe less so you, but where they make a lot of big sales and you're worried about them, but then they've got this just incredible way of finding new talents and then they end up doing pretty well still. So it all works out, But looking at where we are right now, Retegui was supposed to be the guy that stayed this summer because only 1 year in. The next two in line to leave were Lookman, who's been promised to leave, and Ederson, who I think his contract runs out in a year, so they have to sell him. So with Retegui going, Lookman, I think Atletico Madrid are in talks to sign him at the moment. So Lookman's almost certainly going to leave unless they can't find a buyer because he's been promised. And Ederson has to leave unless he surprisingly signs a new contract because of his contract running out. So you lose Retegui, you lose Lookman, you lose Ederson, your three best players. Then Newcastle were trying to sign Scalvini. He might stay, but even still, he's coming back from an ACL. And then Scamacca's coming back, but he's coming back from an ACL. Ruggeri's left, but I think he's replaceable. It's some big names going, but then most importantly, Gasperini being replaced by Zurich. I don't like that at all. It's a lot of question marks. It's a lot of uncertainty, and obviously they're so well managed up above that can make up for it. But yeah, I'm a bit concerned. But like we said, let's see at the end of the market where they are.
Let's take a pin in that and see where they are before we make a thingy. As for Italian football as a whole, if this is it, are we done? Is there anything left to be hopeful about?
I think with that, Nima, it's a gradual decline. It's not like you can never say, it's not like you fall off a cliff and you can say, we've fallen off a cliff. It's like every year is a bit more of a gradual decline in terms of financial strength, in terms of TV revenue, in terms of commercial strength, in terms of the inability to buy players and attract players. And we've seen that again this summer. Like every year our stock falls even more in the transfer market, whereby this summer we can't even sign Diego. We can't even sign the best Verona player. We lose the best Verona player at the cost of 10 million to Brighton. And I saw the other day, I've seen that Sunderland are in talks to try to sign Lucumi from Bologna, who's been one of the best centre-backs in Serie A last season. And they might not get him. I hope that he says no to Sunderland. But, this is a team that's just been promoted from the Championship. And, he's a player that I think that Roma won. And yet Sunderland are probably the best, they're the best position financially to make that signing happen. So when you see this, you do feel like giving up. So I understand the question.
I understand the question and the feeling and everything. As far as I'm aware, there is no other Italian football podcast or Italian football outlet that has focused on these issues as much as you and I have the last 5 years, honestly. And we've done it from every angle. We've done deep dive podcasts at structural and the lack of structural pathway for youth into Serie A clubs, even the lower ones. We've done deep dives about with talking about doctors, about why there's so many injuries.
ACLs.
We were the only ones who, when we had the CEO of Serie A North America here, I asked him critical questions about whether or not they even agreed that there is a problem. Well, spoiler alert, he didn't. So all of these things we've talked about, and we will continue talking about, because pretending that there isn't a problem doesn't change the fact that there is a problem, and everyone can see it. But admitting problem is one thing. Going to it's finished, it's done, it's over, that's dramatic. That's visceral. That's very emotional. And I understand that feeling, because that's a human emotion. That's a feeling. I get that. I just don't think it corresponds to reality, because as well, it's not that bad either, because as you said, this is a gradual decline. I call it an implosion, a slow implosion. That's what we're seeing, a slow implosion from the early 2000s until now. Sometimes it goes up, but sometimes it's like
the graph continues to go down.
Yeah,
the line continues to go down.
Yeah.
The
trajectory is a slow decline.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. One of our listeners, Elio Salerno, he tagged us on Twitter when this Man City's new deal with Puma came out, and he said, "Guys, one for your next pod. The combined annual income of Juve, Milan, and Inter for their kit deal totals less than what Manchester City will earn every year from Puma for the next 10 years. The distance between the clubs' leagues is colossal, and there is no sign it will change. That is the key. For as long as that is true, as long as that is not addressed, this is just going to get bigger. The decline is going to be wider and stronger, and it's going to continually harm Italian football. It's just, simple as that.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is it depends how you define finished, because there's absolutely no doubt that Serie A is finished as an elite league, as in, one of the best leagues, being able to challenge for the best players, the biggest trophies. It is finished, and there's no doubt about it. But like you said, if you're going to say it's finished, depends how you define it. Exactly. It's still, Serie A still has a lot. It still has a lot to give. That's why people still tune into our podcast. If it was completely finished, we'd have no viewers, we'd have no listeners.
Or we could just do one about Serie B, which is what I want to do, and the relegation race, and that'd be brilliant.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, and just to finish on that point that you just made from Elliot there. So this happened on the 18th of June, so a month ago. The Premier League's new TV deal with beIN Sports. I tweeted about it, and it went quite viral. So the foreign and domestic TV revenue combined for the next 3 years, right? Premier League, 14.32 billion.
Pounds or dollars?
Euros. Euros. 14.3 billion euros. Serie A, 3.6 billion euros.
I mean, what are we even talking about here?
Yeah. It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah. Just wait until they launch their app, which I've been banging on about, and go directly to the consumer. Right. No, it'll be finished then. It'll be completely finished by then.
Well, the next step is that and it's already happening, that certain territories will just stop asking for TV rights from Serie A, and that's already starting to happen. I mean, that's happened in a lot of big countries for Liga, which is a complete shambles as well. Even though they've got the European champions, there's multiple countries that don't even get Liga TV rights, and that's starting to happen with Serie A as well. And when the next TV rights cycle comes along, I'm pretty sure that will happen in quite a few major countries, and then that's how the decline continues.
100%. Right. 2 more questions. Kunal S says, for the Club World Cup final, the WWE guy came on before the match. Is football turning into an entertainment now for rich owners of rich clubs with regards to football? And is international football also losing its charm since defense is no longer favored and FIFA wants entertainment and games finishing 5-4 and 6-3 and so on? Hope you get well soon, Nima, from the flu, and have a good week ahead. Yeah, that's where all the coughing comes about. And that's why we've not done anything more this week, because I've been completely knocked out with the flu. I'm feeling better now, so thanks for that, Kunal, and everyone else who reached out. As for the question, turning into entertainment, like, it's been that way for 20 years, isn't it? Like, it's a plaything.
It's gone way past the line now. It's gone way below the belt now, and that's the issue. Something which I called a few weeks ago the Americanization of football. It's just become ridiculous. It has become like with WWE. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Michael Buffer. He's a legend. He's an absolute legend. His for boxing. I've been watching this guy since I was a kid for over 30 years, announcing boxing matches. Let's get ready to rumble. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. It really gets you hyped for a fight. But in football, and what is this?
Does it really matter though? Like, seriously? No, but I see people losing the shit. I saw Matteo Bonetti as well was losing his shit over it, and I was like, guys,
because you got to look at it not in a you got to not look at it in a small vacuum. You got to look at it what it represents as a whole, and how this is what the Americans are doing with football as a whole. They're turning it into
But it's not the Americans, is it?
It's a clown show. Yes, it is American.
It's not.
It is Americans. It's Americans. Trust me, it's Americans.
No, it's commercialization of football.
Yes, run by Americans.
Yes,
and they're taking it to a level where they're turning it into a clown show. You know, what is this? Announcing each player that comes out on the pitch as well is another. What's
wrong with that? I don't care about that.
Halftime shows.
People there. Well, yeah, well, not every game.
Halftime shows.
Yeah, what's wrong with halftime shows at the final of the Club World Cup? I think that's a great idea.
What about like they do in the Super Bowl where they have they stop play after every 5 minutes to do adverts? You happy with that?
Well, we already have that, don't we? I mean, it's like, well, we don't have it in football yet, but
yeah. So are you happy with that then? So you're okay?
I'm not happy.
Every 5 minutes. That's what that is happening. This is what Americans do. They'll continue going more and more and more, and so what we'll start having is every 5 minutes there'll be a break in play. The referee will blow the whistle and say, "Stop. We've got 5 second advert. Stop. Okay, carry on."
I'm not saying
we will. We will.
Yeah,
we will.
But the thing is, I don't that I don't particularly like, but I do not give a shit. Like, I don't have any problems with a halftime show for the people, like, if they're able to market that game and make it grow, and it's a fun thing. The Super Bowl halftime show is brilliant for entertainment. I love it. I don't even like the NFL, and I don't even watch it. I only watch it for the halftime show.
There you go. That's it then.
So, there's nothing wrong with that.
Because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for people that don't like football. They want people just to come and watch entertainment. You know.
Yeah, but but what I'm saying is, like,
they want people just to come and watch Janet Jackson get a boob out, you know, at half time in the World Cup final. You know, I mean,
I love how you brought Titgate into this. Oh my god, Titgate. Oh no, but seriously, it's I don't have a problem with him doing the announcing. I don't have a problem with him announcing plays. Like, I don't see a problem with that. My issue is when it goes like to your point about stopping games for ads. That I think is a bit too far. But I don't know. The rest of it is like, okay, why is this an issue? What's the problem? Like, this was clearly a way for football to market itself in North America. They did a decent job. I didn't care about it.
It won't be just in North America though, Nima. It will be everywhere. They'll do this. They'll be doing this everywhere.
Well, I'm more worried about the execution of it, because I'm more worried about when Serie A try to do it, they bring these one-hit wonders from 15 years ago. Like, I don't know, soon we'll see. It wouldn't surprise me if at the next Coppa Italia final, before the game starts, it's Las Ketchup doing the Ketchup song, because that's how modern Italian football marketing is. Like, yeah, exactly. Or Scatman John, or do you know what I mean? Because that's what the kids like. Yeah, 25 years ago, maybe. Like, that's the shit I'm scared about. But when they,
I'm all for Serie A, and especially Serie A. It's only people like trying to improve their marketing. You know, I've sat here more than anybody criticizing the marketing of Serie A for 5 years. Nobody's criticized it more than me, and how clueless they are, and how they can sell a life jacket on the Titanic. You know, but there's
bingo.
You know, there's ways of doing it, and whatever you do, you've got to protect the integrity of the game, and that's why I'm so against this whole playing this Milan versus. And I can't believe
you literally want penalties to be taken like the MLS in the 90s. You want to turn that into a farce. So you want penalties to be replaced by that. So don't tell me about commercialization being bad. All right, and protecting the integrity of the game.
Well, that's something about the rules, footballing rules, and that's a separate discussion on the football rules. I can see your point, but that's about football rules. I'm talking about the integrity of what is fair and what is not fair, and how and if people cannot understand that the problem with Milan playing against Como one game a season in Australia, in Timbuktu, on the Mars. I don't care where the game is, what country it's in, right? If people can't understand that playing one game a season, Milan against Como in Australia, where Milan will have one game less a season at home, and Como, who will be challenging for Europe next season, they will be, right?
That's the fair point.
Will be playing one less away game, right? If people cannot see that is damaging the integrity of the Serie A, and that's unfair on the teams that are going to be challenging Como not just for Europe. I wouldn't even rule out right now, potentially, especially the money they're spending. I wouldn't even rule out they could even be a dark horse for top 4 next season. It's not impossible, maybe unlikely, but it's not impossible. We've seen Bologna do it. Now, if Como qualify for the Champions League or for Europe, based on playing because they got a result in that game, which should have been an away game at San Siro, but instead is a neutral venue, then I'm sorry, but it's not just that. And this is the same reason why I have the issue with some of these other American things, like the Michael Buffer and things. It's what this opens the door for coming next, because
the slippery slope
next after this is, well, Milan are playing Como in Australia, so Inter are going to say, well, we're going to play one, and rightfully so. They'll say, well, if you can play a game abroad, we want to take a game abroad to America. We want to play one game season. So we're going to play against Sassuolo in Philadelphia. And then Juventus are going to come along and say, well, Milan and Inter are playing a game. They're earning a load of money. Well, we're going to go and play a game in I don't know, Israel. Probably play in Israel. So, that'll be the best marketing, wouldn't it? So, I mean, do you know what I mean? So where does it stop? And then it becomes a farce. Then it becomes a farce. So I think they have to be very. I know it hasn't been announced yet. This hasn't been officially announced, but I know people that have got knowledge.
We all know it's going to happen.
We know that it's going to happen. People, they have to be very careful with what they open the door to. I'm totally with the idea of commercializing, and I'm not even against playing games abroad. Like, I wouldn't be against. Like, I'm fine with the Super Cup playing abroad. I have no issue with that. Okay, you can argue about where it's being played and some of the ramifications and that. Okay, I get that. I have no problem with that being played. I'd have no problem with, Coppa Italia. I'm not even against the Coppa Italia. I know it's a bit of a, it's Coppa Italia who played it abroad, but I'm not even, but the league season, you've got to have the same amount of home and away games. You have to. Otherwise, it's not fair. It's not a fair league. That's my issue with this.
I don't think anything you said is I don't disagree with any of it necessarily. I just think that there could be a middle ground, if you know what I mean. I think we don't need to change everything, and we also don't need to cling on to everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, there needs to be, there's certain things. I think, for example, the Coppa Italia final, why not have a halftime or a pre-game or a halftime show or something? Do you know what I mean? Like, or, I like the fact, already now in Italy, every stadium announces the name and the crowds cheer, and like that already happens. Every time they score.
I think it's how they do it, and I think it's also partly because we know what's coming next. Do you know what I mean? We know what's coming next, and that's what people get worried about. Is because it's the
slippery slope. You're like literally one minute away from saying,
if you're at A, if the evil people running the world,
children, Carlo, protect the children.
Listen,
what's going to happen?
It's how it works. We've seen it throughout history, Nima. If the evil people running the world are at A, right, and they want to get to Z, they're not going to jump straight from A to Z. They're not going to say, the Americans not going to say, right, we're going to have adverts. They're going to start with the little tiptoes, the totalitarian tiptoe, it's called. They jump. They're not going to jump straight from A to Z. They're not going to suddenly take away.
We call it slow boiling of frogs. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But I love how this annoys you to the point where we're like tiptoeing to totalitarianism. This is brilliant. This is good content. Let's go.
I think we should make this the video. In fact, I think we did, didn't we?
No, we're not doing this the video. People are gonna listen to it. Missak, last question. Missak Ulikian said, "Who's this?" I know Hamza's gonna love this. You and him go off on these tantrums and tangents. Missak, who's this Modesto guy? Is he actually modest in his character? What's a technical director in a football club compared to sports director? It seems Comolli has decided that he himself will handle the sporting director role.
You can answer that well.
Window and figure out the role in September. Look, it depends, I think, a little bit. You can't really say that there's a defined role like at every club. But overall, I'm speaking generally here. The sporting director is in charge of the sporting side, everything to do with the sporting side at a top club. the technical director, the CEO. I mean, I think Inter is a good example of that. Before Marotta became president, they had a CEO for sport, they had a sporting director, and they have an assistant sporting director. Then they have a CEO for corporate, the business side of things, which was Antonello, and then they have a assistant CEO and so on. So basically, the Milan is also another example of this with what's his name? Ricky Massara was a sporting director, but Paolo Maldini oversaw everything. He was a technical director. He was a CEO of the football club. Regardless of what terminology you use, you have someone who oversees everything, who makes sure that everything on the sporting side works. If they don't have a separate CEO just for the business side, that usually falls under the umbrella, whilst the sporting director is just someone who's more concerned with the sporting sides, buying, selling, maintaining contacts with scouts, with agents, keeping an eye on, stuff like that, in and out in the mercato, but also maintaining the peace inside the club, although that usually falls more under someone like Marotta, who's the CEO for sport or technical director or something like that. That that's kind of broadly what it is.
I would say that in reference to Juventus, I would say refer back to the press conference of Comoli's first day at Juventus, because he did actually break down the responsibilities of who's doing what.
I like that. It was very coherent and very good explained.
Yeah, he broke down like what Chiellini's doing, and he made it clear that they're going to hire a technical director and a sporting director, and the sporting director would be in charge of the transfers. And Juventus have now got a technical director, but they still don't have a sporting director. We're in the middle of July, but anyway, yeah. So the sporting director that they hire will be in charge of the transfers at Juventus. So that won't be the technical director's job at Juve.
Yeah, it's but that's pretty much overall what they do. But I actually think that Comoli, I mean, he's kind of doing it himself, but Juventus aren't doing anything. That's more concern.
Well, they've brought in. They have got the Conceição deal done, which I'm happy about that, because I think that was important. Agreed. I think that was important, but they need to get the Colin Muani deal sorted for sure.
I think so as well. I think
I don't know who they're going to bring up front. Yeah, because Juventus or Italian clubs just can't pay for the kind of level strikers that are going to kind of make the difference, really.
But also, I think with Jonathan David coming in, I think in terms of goal scorers, I think I think that put Juve in a good position.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna reserve judgment until the season starts and we see how he does. He's one of those which, we'll see. We'll see.
Right, those are all the questions that you guys had sent in this week. Please do remember to send in your questions via Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, but preferably via DM on Patreon rather. We'll be back next week with a full round of shows. Monday we'll do a Mercato deep dive. Can we reveal that it's going to be about who it's going to be about and who it's with, or is it confirmed?
Yeah,
now?
well, it's going to be Juventus, and we have Mirko Di Natale. He's promised us. So yeah, well, that's the plan on Monday, late Monday afternoon. So we're looking Monday evening to get that out.
So we'll be doing Monday evening. The pod will come out. It's a Mercato deep dive with Juve, going through everything Juve related. And Mirko's a good friend, lovely guy, and we're very, really glad to have him on. He's funny as well, very, very funny guy.
He is funny, yeah.
We WhatsApp a lot of funny things. He's very, very funny. So we're definitely gonna do that, and we're gonna have a Q&A as well next week on Wednesday. So make sure to send in your questions, all patrons, or become a patron first on patreon.com/TIFP, and then DM us preferably on Patreon your question by Tuesday evening to make sure that it comes on next week's Patreon show on Wednesday. So lots of good things coming up, and after that, of course, we're back to our Mercato deep dive. We're gonna have Alfredo Pedola also on soon as well. So yeah, make sure to check all those things out and send in your questions. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Ciao, ciao.